So from my earliest memories, the first couple of musicians or bands that sort of made an impact on me, sonically, I would say was sort of 90s rock, where 90s to 2000s, sort of a product of the MTV generation. Bands like Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Korn, Papa Roach, POD, stuff like that. I think that's about when I started taking music seriously. Before that, listening to regular kid stuff like Venga Boys or Backstreet Boys, but never really took it seriously until like I heard that, and I decided to take on an instrument. So I would say those were probably my earliest forms of inspiration, or sort of get a bit more into the art of music. And that obviously segued into a variety of different genres after that. So currently, something that's pretty inspiring to me, or if they were in Toronto today and I wanted to go see the show, it'd probably be Disclosure. Probably for two reasons. It's funny because that's not really the music I really make. It may be the music I make in the future, but what's interesting about it is that one, it's sort of commercializing the deep house genre with the sort of the melodies they're making in the composition. It's not very traditional deep house. It's also a little bit faster, and it's very disco-ish at the same time. So it's kind of captivating the mainstream. So I find that really interesting. And two is also that their sets are live instrumentation. So it's a lot of live sampling, live instrumentation, and sort of not your traditional DJ set, which they do also, but giving that sort of improv vibe, or just letting the artistic creativity kind of jump up at any time, and playing every instrument and being aware of your surroundings is kind of interesting. So I would say that's what's inspiring me the most this moment. So an artist, dead or alive, I would meet, actually happens to be alive. I'd probably meet James Hetfield from Metallica for so many reasons. One of it's probably one of my biggest influence. Like I mentioned, I was really into rock music early on, and that kind of moved into metal. And I still think metal is the single greatest influence in any music I touch. James Hetfield, simply because one, Metallica was the band that sort of took that form of music mainstream. So it's extremely interesting to see how he dealt with it, or the band dealt with it, in terms of taking this really, San Francisco Bay Area, I was gonna say Bay Street, Bay Area, thrash metal, and just kind of make it this really big powerhouse, sort of mammoth of a sound and mainstream. And so I think that's pretty interesting. I would see how he dealt with that and how that evolved into sound. And besides that, if you've ever watched the Metallica documentary, you'd see like the amount of ego in that band and dealing with a lot of each other's bullshit, and how they kind of dealt with that, how they dealt with the death of their main bass player, how they dealt with like Dave Mustaine, who left for Megadeth, who was their lead guitarist. They just been through a lot, been through like a lot of highs, lows, but they're still a strong band and still probably the biggest band. So just picking his brain for a good couple of hours would be pretty interesting. So my favorite musical tool currently is the Ableton DAW. Not been using it for too long. A year, I would say, maybe 9 months to a year, something like that. I still think I'm pretty crap at it, but I'm learning every day. It's amazing because like coming from a traditional background where I've played drums my whole life, now you're taking you're taking instrumentation, not just the drums, but all these like different synthesizers, and just packaging this one thing where it's your platform for designing music. It's sort of out of the ordinary, but at the same time, it's kind of the standard now, and it's just so powerful. The amount of things you can do with it. It's computer engineering and musicianship at the same time. So I would say that's my favorite choice of instrumentation currently. And besides that, in terms of hardware, I'm really go with I guess the machine, the drum pads, simply because they kind of it follows the trajectory that I had before with live instrumentation and percussions. And also in terms of playing live shows, you can just add all these cool elements to your shows. It also helps improve your workflow with programming drums when you're using Ableton or using it as a VST. So I would say those are probably the two most prevalent production or instruments that I use in my everyday production. I'm on Skype.
Skype production.
I'm not making this right now. That's sick. That sounds dope. Yeah, it sounds really good. Actually, like really, is it saved? I wanna open it.
Yeah, it's well, it's saved, but it's not flattened because it's next to this, right?
Oh,